Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's session. Welcome. And just let me know where you're joining us from. Let us know where you're joining us from. Type in the chat box, say where you're joining from, and we'll get started. Super exciting to have you here. Okay. Um, we got so many people joining us today. So looking forward to today's session. Okay. You can join us from Facebook. You can also join us from YouTube, which is super cool. Today's masterclass is packed with a lot of information for you, a lot of info, and we're going to be together for the next few days. And in all of that, the aim is to help you to launch a business that attracts investors. So we find that this has been mysterious for a lot of people. People don't understand that what do I need to do in order to build a company that attracts investors? Like, what do investors really want? Do they even want to invest, or what is this? How does it work? And then sometimes people feel like, look, I know what I'm doing. I wish investors could understand me, or could understand what you're doing, or investors don't understand. So, how do you make investors understand? How do you make it super easy for people to understand what you're doing, and so that they also see your vision and see that, wow, this business is going somewhere and I want to be part of it as an investor. I want to put in money and I want to help this company to succeed. So please type in the chat box, tell us where you are joining us from. I'd like to know. It's super cool to have everybody here. Excellent. We have lots of people joining from different parts of Africa and different parts of the world. Wow, it's incredible. That's amazing. That's amazing. Amazing. And some people have already shared their questions. Thank you very much for doing that. I will answer the questions at the end of this session. And to be good to, if you have any other questions, just type them in the chat boxes, both on YouTube and on Facebook. And my team will take note of them and then they'll pass them on to me to make sure that I answer your questions. So we're going to be together for 3 days. We're going to be together for 3 days. Um, this is important because we are going to make sure that we cover as much as possible in these 3 days. But there will be an invitation, encouragement to join us on a longer journey with us so that you can make your business dreams come true, your personal dreams come true. Great. So cool. We're going to look at why you want to build an investable business, and then what are investors looking for, what makes a business produce massive results, how do you stand out to investors. All of these will be packed. Actually, they are put like 4 days, but it's actually 3 days. So these will be put in um, in 3 days. So today we will cover a lot of these things that I'm talking about, and then tomorrow we'll cover some more, and then on Wednesday, on our last day together on this session, we'll cover even more of these of the important things that makes your business investable. So we're going to look at the 9 areas investors look at, ways to impress investors, and the things that impress investors. Like, what impresses investors? Okay. We'll also looking at what to do if you don't have revenue. So a lot of you are super early. Either you've got a business that's just right now, maybe it's just a concept. You're thinking about it, like, I want to do this, and it's super early, and you want some investment, some capital to make things happen, to move. Some of you have got businesses that's been running for a while, or your concept's been running, and it's not making money yet. So what to do? And you're feeling that maybe I need money in order to make money. What do you need to do for people to believe in you and believe in your mission? And some of you actually have got a business that's been running for a while, maybe generated some revenue, but it's not consistent, and you don't know, like, how do I make this consistent? How do I make sure that I can create it, this to be, the revenue can be predictable and repeatable. This is very important. When we're starting out, we do some things and our businesses make money, people buy, and then afterwards they stop. Or they don't buy as much as we thought they should. And we've got all our projections in Excel, and in Excel we're super rich. In reality, we are not. What do we do about that? Okay, and that's, this session is for you if you're in that case as well. And some of you actually have been like me. I went from incubator to incubator, accelerator to accelerator, and in the end they still said like, you're not investor ready. Like, what do you do? Okay. Well, like when you get accepted into an accelerator at first, it's exciting. Yeah, I've been selected. Then you come out like, okay, I didn't make money. And then some of you actually only met investors on demo day, last day of your time in the accelerator, and didn't get anything. You got like some questions and maybe nothing else. They didn't tell you what you're not doing right, what you could do to improve. And then some of you maybe even won some awards, the most innovative this, or the most startup for this, and the most that, young 40 under 40, 30 under 30, 20 under 20, all these different awards. Like, yay, I wish these awards could pay my bills, right? So that's what we're going to, if you're going through any of that, then this session will help you to switch that. Like, look, I'm tired of just winning awards. I'm tired of being told, well done. I want people to actually pay me. Okay, this session is for you. And so we are going to look at how to introduce a business in one sentence, where to find investors, what to do to fast track your journey. We're talking about the 4-factor formula. And then to get the most out of this masterclass, I encourage you to dedicate this time that we're going to be together 90 minutes. You just switch off everything else. Tell your loved ones that, look, don't disturb me for the next 90 minutes, for the next 1.5 hours. Don't disturb me. I am in this masterclass. And I, I can assure you that when you do that, your loved ones will respect that, and everybody else you are told that you're going to meet today for any of that, for either just drinks or catch ups or dinner, and tell them, look, I'm not available today, and I'm not available again tomorrow, and I'm not available on Wednesday. But what we could do is we could meet after or before. I'd encourage you to meet them like earlier in the day, in the morning. Don't meet them just before the session. Okay? And then I know after the session, your mind will be buzzing and you'll be writing things, and then you won't meet them because you got things to do. You're on a mission. You just rekindled your dream and seeing like, okay, finally, there's a way for me to make a move to move forward. So one, switch off all your disturbances, everything that's pinging, that's ringing, that dinging, that's singing, any of that stuff, switch it off. And then get your pen and paper, take down lots of notes. On top of that, take action. But today, just take out lots of notes, take down lots of notes. And then also, I encourage you to have an open mind, because a lot of you are coming here because you've been through so many of these sessions. Like, oh, let's see what will happen today. And then you, with your mindset of, that's easy for you to say. Oh, that can work for me. Or I know all of that. But if you come with that mindset, you will hardly learn anything. Instead, I'd like you to come with a mindset of, let me see how I can apply that to my situation, how I can apply that to my business. And then if I share with you knowledge that's like completely left field, that you're thinking, no ways that could work. Instead of saying no ways that could work, just say, wow, that's interesting. Let's see how that could work for me. That's the mindset. So those of you coming here with closed mindsets are gonna miss out, and those of you who are not committed, thinking like, okay, I'll just see what I can quickly do. Like, give me 3 things, just three. And like, what are your 3 points? Then I'll go off and do it. I'm gonna run with it and do it. I'll encourage you again to be a little bit more patient and take down the notes. And then my other encouragement for you is stay for the 3 days. Make a commitment that I'll be here for 3 days. And then in the chat, you start to get to know each other, encourage each other. And the next day, encourage each other to come back and be together. They said, let us be on the journey together. Remember, the secret is to stay in the game. So you are now joining part of a community. There'll be friendships here that will be made. There will be co-founders that will be found. There will be employees and employers, all of this. And people that will build your website, the people who do the digital marketing for you, the people you work with, and even just customers, they're here. And people that you would, your new service providers, they're all here. And a lot of times people complain that entrepreneurship is lonely. But it's lonely when you are outside the community. So startup circles provide that community for you, game changers, where you can all hang out together and go through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship together. So are we ready to get rolling? So those are the things that I encourage you to do to get the most out of this masterclass. So why are we doing this? Okay, why are we doing this on Startup Circles? Like, why are we teaching all of this for free? Like, why? What's the catch? What's the catch? Like, why we're doing this? We're doing this because we believe in entrepreneurship. We're doing this because we know how hard it is to find the right information. Well, there's a lot of information out there, but it's too much. Again, it's confusing. And because it's like too much, it's just like, oh, wait. Just tell me what to do. I need somebody to just guide me. So right now, because there's too much information, it's like you're sitting with a map book. You say, what do I do with this information? And what we're doing here is say, look, okay, we're going to help you with step one, finding out like a GPS. You say, where are you? First is calibrate, find your location. You are here. So what we talk about today, you know where you are as a business or your idea and your thinking, and like I am here. And then the next thing we do as your personal GPS is saying, where do you want to go? I want to build a business that raises investment. Great. And then we take you through that journey. Then we say, forget everything else, just in 500 meters, turn left. In 100 meters, take the exit on the left. Just like that. And then if we notice there's a traffic jam in front of you, we say, we have discovered a better route for you. Would you like to take it? That's what we're doing. And that's what we are as Startup Circles. And another reason is because personally, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur pretty much all my life. And I've gone through these journeys of trying to find people to help me and the people to just tell me what to do. And then I'm running an education company. I mean, people like, education is hard to make money in that. Like, oh, the way you're pitching your idea is sounding like an NGO. Or and like all of these different things. And then also investors will say, we do not take any unsolicited pitches. Like, how are we going to get in if you won't let us in? I went through all of that and spending lots of money learning with different teachers, hoping something would change. I did an MBA, hoping that finally I could learn to build my own business and raise money. It helped very little. In the end, it was all the other knowledge that was put together and thought like, why not share this? So we believe that by you going through this program, even for 3 days, learning as much as you can, you will be able to be one of our clients. And then we then help you build a bigger company that takes care of you, takes care of your family, takes care of your employees and their families, and takes care of your communities and changes the economy of your country and the lives of the people. So we believe in that. We truly believe that commercially viable businesses have got the power to change people's lives. That's why we're doing this. And then at the end, we will actually make an invitation to some of you who have said, look, I want to get on a journey with Startup Circles. I want to join your amazing programs. And I see what you've done. I see what you can do. I gain so much value. I know that if now I'm inside, I'll learn so much more. And then you join us on the journey as one of our clients that are like super amazing. And we invite you to that. Okay, that's what we're doing, what we're doing. So this is a new game. Raising money is a new game. Take it as a game, and every game has got different rules. So a lot of you know that my business is great. Why can't investors just give me money? But it's like you know how to play. You know how to play football, right? You know how to play football. You play football very well, and then you get into basketball. and then you try to kick the ball and they just blow the whistle for you. Like, what? Like, and then you're trying to avoid touching the ball and they're telling you, like, touch the ball, bounce it, and all of that. It's like, but this is unfair. Like, how does this even work? But like any game, if you don't know the rules, the game is unfair. It's unfair. Like even in basketball, there's certain people who can bounce the ball in such a way it looks like they're just carrying the ball, they're running. And then you try that and say, hey, traveling. Like, what? The guy did the same. Like, no, 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 it didn't do the same. It was almost like, but it did not. You know? So when you know the rules, you can play within the rules and make the game work for you. So take it as a game. If you don't know the rules, the game is unfair. And you can say, oh, the referee must understand me. Oh, the other players must understand me. It's like, no, 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 no. You make your life way easier by understanding the rules. So take it as a new game and as a new language. There are challenges already that you've been going through as entrepreneurs. You tried to raise money and you cannot. And that's been like you, the story of your life. And with that, let's get into it. Okay. Let's start from the beginning. Why do you want to build an investable business? We're starting from there. Why do you want to build an investable business? Why? Type out your reasons. Why do you want to start? Why do you want to build a business? Why do you want to build an investable business? What are your dreams? Okay, what are your dreams? What do you want for yourself, for your family, for your wife, for your girlfriend, for your husband, for your boyfriend? You know, for everybody that you care about, or for yourself. What do you want to do? What are your dreams? What would your life be like when you achieve those dreams? What is it going to be like? Just take note of that in your book and write down and reconnect with your dreams. Like, what do you want? What's in it for you? What's in it for others? What's in it for community, for society? What impact you want to leave? What's your legacy? And what type of business do you want to build? Do you want to build a lifestyle business or a growth business? So what's a business? What's the difference here? So a lifestyle business is a business that takes care of you as an entrepreneur. It takes care of your lifestyle. I built a lifestyle business for the longest time. It's amazing. It's more consulting business, takes care of me and my family and takes care of my needs. I can travel and do amazing things, and I work when I want. If I don't want to work, I'm on holiday, like that. It's like, it works. You can build a business like that as a lifestyle business. You could also have a business like, it's a local business, it's a local store, and you don't want it to grow too big, and it takes care of your lifestyle. You can be a solopreneur, you could be a freelancer and take care of your lifestyle. That's a lifestyle business. Then a growth business is a business that grows really big, where you can take in outside investment and you can grow it to cover different geographical locations, or to just take care of a lot of people, millions of people, or hundreds of thousands of people, but it can grow and you can take in other people's money and produce results and returns for them and for you. Those are the two types of businesses that you could think about broadly. And investors do not invest in lifestyle businesses. So if you're consulting and you got a small holder, you got a small business, you're thinking like, look, I just want money for operations. You can just get a loan for that type of business. You can get money from friends and family, just help you with some capital, then you return the money. That's what you do for a lifestyle business. But you don't take investment. You don't take, especially like angel and VC, because they want massive returns. Then there are three different types of problems that businesses solve. So personal problems, business problems, and societal social problems. Personal problems are problems that impact individuals on individuals. So businesses that serve individuals will be known as B2C, business to consumer. So things like me being hungry, that's a personal problem. Okay, I need school, that's a personal problem. I am broke, it's a personal problem. I want my skin to look a certain way, it's like all these personal problems. And so with personal problems, I need to take care of it. I need to go and look for food, make money for food, and do that and take care of that. Then I start looking at ads that take care of my personal problems. Okay, so you can have a business that takes care of those type of problems. Then the second type of problem is a business problem. So Business problems are the second type of problem where you take care of organizational or business problems. These are like growth, how we retain we retain employees, how do we become more efficient, how do we market more, how do we sell more, how do we make sure our employees are happy, all those type of things. Those are business problems. When you're solving those, that's B2B. And for B2B, companies would pay for that. So if I say I'm hungry, the company won't pay for me like, oh, Sanders is hungry, let's give him money for food. But if I need to take care of that. But if I if I'm going to a company, I'm selling food for people to say, hey, I want you to buy food for your employees. The company will say, no, we won't do that. They need to take care of that themselves. But you say, oh, I want to help you to sell more, to do more of this, and say, is this a business problem? Then they will pay for it. So, for instance, if I'm a website developer, if I'm building websites for individuals, solving their personal problem, like I want to just market myself more as an influencer or any of these, like, okay, in B2C, where individuals are your customers, the money they pay is less, but they're easier to get to, and the decision making process is quicker. In B2B, the decision cycle is longer, but the money is bigger. So if I'm making a website, I could make a website for 5,000 for an individual, and they could make the same website for a company for 50,000. So it's different. But then for me to build that website for a company, for them to come to a decision, it might take months. So those are some of the differences. Then the third type of problem is societal or social problems. So societal and social problems are problems that impact society and everybody kind of agrees with them. So if we talk about illiteracy now, like the population is illiterate. That's a societal problem. You're talking about corruption. That's a societal problem. We're talking about crime, unemployment, global warming, recycling, waste, plastics, like energy, all those type of things. Those are kind of like societal problems. And with many of them, a lot of people will agree. And we say, yes, our company is helping solve the problem of unemployment. People go, wow, yeah. But in reality, when you say, I am solving this problem, and they say, who's going to pay for it? For societal problems, a lot of times, like, the answer is like, nobody wants to pay for it. They agree. Yeah, yeah, we got a problem of corruption. Who's going to pay for it? Like, how are we going to make money with that? Like, how are you going to pay? Like, who are we paying? So there's that. And then with education, same thing. Illiteracy. We help people to get educated. How do we make money? It's rough. It's difficult because you need to just get to get an educated population. So in societal problems, the people that pay, organizations that pay, would usually be governments. So governments would pay, philanthropies would pay, companies as part of the CSI, they will pay for that. So if now I go to a company and say, hey, we're trying to help your people to get less broke, I teach you personal finance, and say, that's a personal problem. They say, okay, we can help the people through CSI. If we're saying we want to fight, we want to help out with unemployment, we find that people say, yeah, we'll do that, but as a company, really, you are delivering a different service. And employment is a byproduct of your business success. So your business makes money, then you can hire people. But governments have got a duty to take care of people and create jobs. That's why governments would just like, we have lots of people, we cannot fire people. And then in businesses where it's hard to make money as a private company or as a private individual, a lot of times there's a rule of thumb just to know, like, is it easy to make money here? Think of any type of business where the government gets involved. It means it's very difficult to make money in that area. Very difficult. Not saying it's impossible. It's possible, but it's usually very difficult. So if you find like parastatals, you say energy generation, like, yeah, very difficult to make money in private. There are few people doing it, but very difficult for everybody else to do it. And then it's like, yeah, airlines, like, yes, airlines are usually parastatals. Like airlines globally, a lot of them don't make money, a lot. So that's why a lot of airlines are just owned by the government. Right? Airlines, including Emirates. Emirates does not make money. Emirates is heavily sponsored by the government. So be easy on SAA. be easy on British Airways, Zambian Airways, or your national airlines. It's hard to make money, and that's why you find like people start an airline, and after 3, 4 years, 10 years, the airline goes down. Somebody else just starts it because it's difficult to make money in those type of industries, and hence you have more like government coming in as parastatals, or you get concessions and all those type of things. Okay, so that's what will help you decide like what type of problem your business is solving. So in some of these, like in the societal problems, the type of problem you solve is B to. It's usually it can be B to B to C or B to B to C, B to G to C, business to government to society to consumer, or business to consumer. And you have people paying, companies will pay you to deliver a service to the consumer. Okay. Cool. I'd like now, as I look at some of the questions that are coming in, I'd like to just share one story, which is a story of one of our entrepreneurs. We have an entrepreneur that actually lots of entrepreneurs that raise money going through our programs. I'll share the story of Lauren and Mark. So Lauren and Mark came into our program. They came into our program and they had an idea. Like, okay, we're going to get an idea of how to do this. We want to build an online school now with COVID and pivoting, and an idea. How are we going to get investors for it? And the good news is that Lauren and Mark came through our program. Idea, launched, pivoted multiple times. The business changed many times, and in the end, they actually got investment. Like within the 3 months of ignition, they got investment from our investors. Let's hear their story.
We've started a business called Koa Academy. It's an online pod school, and our big focus is on building community between the learners and the school.
Great. How did you come up with the idea?
Oh, do you want to start that one? That's a long story. How long do we have?
So maybe we'll try and do a shorter version of the long one.
Yes.
Basically, yeah, Mark and I have both always been interested in online education, and for years and years we've been sort of discussing different ways of being able to do that. And then obviously over the last few months with COVID, both of our works have moved online educationally and given us a chance to experience some of that. And then a lot of just our dream of wanting to create something, an online learning platform. We've been sort of, that dream has just started becoming more and more of a reality, and realizing that now is a really good time just in the market for moving towards that. So then we
started looking into it. I think for me as well, I've always wanted to rethink education. Even long before COVID, you look at the way we do education, and we know that we're behind where we should be with how we do education. And people like the idea of online education. There's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot more freedom for families. But all of our conversations with kids, with parents, came back to not feeling connected to each other. So this lack of connection. So that sort of became our thing. It became the problem that we were trying to fix, was how do you do online education and help people feel connected?
Yeah. And I think it's connected both to each other as well as to the actual material that they've been taught on. So one of the moments that I feel like every time we talk about this or pitch this idea to anyone, the moment that people get like sparkly eyes is often when we start talking about the actual sort of educational model and piece around, like I think a lot of the project-based learning and like looking at ways to, rather than teach siloed subjects, but ways to bring it all together.
And what is your background, individually or together?
So my background's in nursing. So I started off as a nurse, but then I've been working in public health and healthcare. So I've never really worked. I haven't worked for long in hospitals or clinics, but has always been more at a systems level or starting projects. And then I've moved into education. So I do training of healthcare workers. And yeah, and recently moved that online.
And I'm a teacher.
Now tell us, just before getting into Startup Circles, what is going on and what led you to Startup Circles?
So just before Startup Circles, we were still bashing around the idea. Just sort of every couple of weeks we'd mention it to each other and bring it up again, and maybe one day we should start a business together. Yeah.
We then sat down and had a meeting of the two of us together. We made an agenda and minutes and all the rest, and it looked very different to how it looks at the moment. But we had a proper meeting.
It was a full-on meeting.
It was a full-on meeting where we'd put our first ideas down on paper and made our list of action points and when we were going to come back to them. And then we came across an opportunity for applying for seed funding, and as part of that was then linked to Startup Circles. And
so that moment where we saw that Enigma Ventures had opened up the Shift Fund, looking specifically to invest in companies which were starting out, sort of serving a post-COVID world, that made us go, "Ooh, like this is a great thing to apply for," just because the gap that we have between both our sort of our passions and our skill set, which is very much, the idea of building this thing, but then actually making it a business, is we know how to make that connection. And so
go ahead.
The real joy for us of being able to do the launch program is that it's connected our passions and our skills with practically how do you make that a reality in business? Like what's working, what's not? What are the things that we maybe would have spent 6 months dabbling with and stubbing our toe against and getting frustrated with? And this wise man that we met with every week from the Startup Circles would say, "You guys are wasting your time on that. Let it go. Like, this is where you need to sort of focus and spend your time."
Tell us about the Startup Circles experience. What was it like?
So we love that. Speaking for myself, we love that it is sort of cut all the fat off. Let's get to the heart of
what are you doing.
What are you doing? Why are you doing it? How's it going to work?
And just to say, our initial idea changed a lot from right at the beginning, and it was so helpful to keep needing to redefine what it is that we are going to be doing, and hearing from other businesses. Like that was really helpful, is hearing other people talking about what it is that they're creating and sort of what their journey's been like and their experiences. Is really helpful in just shaping your thinking. And you hear someone say, almost like, they throw something else out in the group, and it just gets you thinking in a different way. And even though sort of each business is so different, there are many of the core concepts that are, it's really helpful hearing from others like at similar stages in their business.
Someone's selling shoes and they have the same problem that we have. And it's nice. It's also nice to feel like we're on this journey together and learning together. It's encouraging.
And tell us about the challenges of, you got an idea, then you get feedback, you need to change it and go back and change those ups and downs. Tell us about those.
It's a roller coaster. So, I mean, we say it all the time in the group, but it's like in one day you will go from top of the world to,
this is a brilliant idea,
to what on earth are you doing? I give up right now. Back to top of the world. Yeah, so like the ups and downs are never ending, but I think for us personally, something that we personally always valued is being able to take feedback and use it constructively and bounce forward rather than bounce back. So so the idea that we present our idea, which to us is we're personally invested in what we're doing. We're not doing this just for the salary at the end of the day. We believe in what we're doing. We love this area. But even then, to be able to present it to people and hold it out to people, and people say, that's not going to work, this isn't quite right, have you thought about this? We need to be soft enough, open enough to then be able to shift our thinking, adjust how we're doing something, make changes that are necessary without taking it personally.
And I think that's something that you've done very well, both of you.
Thank you.
Because you're a good example of entrepreneurs who are very focused, obsessed with the problem they're trying to solve, which is very good, but also flexible on the method.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people are stuck on the method, like, no, that method won't work.
Yeah.
Like you're forgetting the problem you're trying to solve. But in your case, like, this is the problem we want to solve. Then you find a method, like, oh, have you thought about this? Okay, you change, but still solving the same thing. So I'm super excited about your school because I know my son will be in your school, and we'll know that he's not playing Fortnite like all night. Tell us more about the final demo day when you pitched and getting an offer. Congratulations!
Thank you very much. I mean, just so exciting. It's
amazing when other people buy into into what you're doing.
It's very encouraging. It's a nerve-wracking process getting there.
Yeah. And we also know that this is where the hard work begins. This is definitely not the this is not where it becomes easy. This is where it becomes really difficult.
And also to say, like, we went into demo day with a very clear sense that if we didn't get funding at demo day, it was still the process was still super valuable.
Yeah.
So the idea that we're in a group presenting our ideas, getting to share those ideas with people who have valuable input, whether they offered money investments at the end or not, we really felt like it was well worth our time and energy being there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. Tell us about, before enrolling into Startup Circles, what were your biggest skepticism or hesitation?
Specifically about Startup Circles?
Yes.
That's a good question.
I think my only thing was I didn't know exactly what I was going to be, like what we were going to be doing.
Yeah.
Like the structure of, like it only became clearer once we got going. So the structure of, this is what you're doing, or
because we'd never done anything like it, we didn't have a clear idea of what it was and how it worked and where we'd get value out of it. And then just
go ahead
I was going to say, and then just for us personally as well was our capacity with time at the moment is very narrow. So we two little kids at home and life full on, and full-time jobs and studying, and to be able to commit another chunk of time is always,
and knowing that if we were going to do this, we wanted to do it properly. I think that it took a bit of thinking that through and knowing that if we were going to go for it, we really wanted to be fully invested.
Something like Startup Circles, you don't get the most out of it unless you're committed to it, invested in it.
And how did you manage your time with that, and how did the work, like working on your business and still managing everything else, how did you do that?
See the rings under our eyes.
I mean, I think it's a combination of knowing this is a season of our life that we are going to have to put in some extra hours. And knowing that and being comfortable with that, and also being smart about how we prioritize things, how much we spend time on things. Something that actually I think it was in one of the first sessions with Startup Circles was how are you using your personal networks to take weight off of your shoulders? So what are you doing yourself that you could just ask a friend to do for you or a family member to do for you, or and that was very helpful.
Yeah. And I think one of the other things was also just right at the beginning, that piece on going through what your personal values are and building that in. So like very practically for us, like family is like top priority for us. And so things like we would sit down at the beginning of each week and plan out our week, and when are we going to spend time on this, and then also schedule into our calendar. Well, like every Thursday night is we have our date night, and we make sure that we have time where we don't talk about COA, we don't talk about work at all, and make sure that we then spend time together and actually sit down and have a meal together and that sort of thing. So that's been really important to us over the last while, and I think will continue to be what we prioritize moving forward. And then again, like just making sure at the time with the kids we're there and we focus. And it was quite difficult sometimes to not talk about COA when like the kids are around and that, but we try to, when we're there, we focused on family and kids. So that piece on just knowing your values right at the beginning and then making sure that you do. And for us, I think that's the create time place, is make sure you create time for those things that
are important,
that are really important. Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's considering joining, but they're on the trip right now?
Do it. Sign up. Do it.
The value of how far we've come in the last, I don't even know how long it's been. Is it just over 2 months?
Like, again, it's years worth of experimentation and fiddling and failure and condensed into 2 months, which is amazing.
So we had friends where, and like obviously with sort of being COVID season and lockdown, that we haven't seen a lot of over the last while. And so they didn't necessarily know that we were doing Startup Circles, but they know because we've been talking about online learning for, anyone that's close to us knows that that's what we've been interested in, and we've been mulling over ideas. When we started doing our first marketing pitch of like sending out our website, we obviously spammed like a lot of our friends and family and sent it to them. And we had so many people come back to us, go like, is this you guys? Like, how on earth did you get that set up? Like they thought that we were sharing someone else's
promoting
thing
somebody else,
and they couldn't believe the amount that we'd managed to do in that period of time. And
also I think like the other thing I really appreciate about Startup Circles is it's very clear that Startup Circles practices what they preach. So we see in the way that Startup Circles works that this is not pie in the sky theory. This is on the ground how we work, and it's effective.
Brilliant. And second last question. Tell us about your challenge around when you were planning to launch and when I challenged you to launch sooner.
No, thanks for that, Sandra. You gave us sleepless nights and cold sweats. So I think the drive to action something and get people on board, the word that is used so often, traction, whatever that looks like in your business, to get that earlier in any way that you can, it does a lot. It's exhausting in the moment, and you feel like there are 20 things that you need to do before you can start getting quality traction. We need to hire a graphic designer, and we need to have a quality website, and we need to, have our curriculum developed, and we need to. But actually, what we need to do is we need to get this out there, and we need people saying, "Yeah, I'm keen for that." And as soon as you have that, it does two things. Firstly, it builds your own sense of confidence that actually people are buying into this, people want this, I'm going in the right direction. So it validates your ideas and it tells you whether you're on the right track. Because if you throw it out there and nobody's interested, then you know you've got some reshaping to do. But the other thing it does, obviously, is other people notice and they buy in as well. You know, if you can say to whether it's people who you want to make sales with or get investment from, to be able to say, hey, other people are getting on board, come and join us. That's much more powerful than, please won't you join us? We just need one person to come and like give us investment. Or
super proud of you and congratulations.
Really appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks so much to you as well. It's been a wild few months.
Right, and we've enjoyed it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. How cool is that, eh? Type 1 if you enjoyed that story of Mark and Lauren. Type 1 in the chat box, because I think like they're really, they're like you, right? You're thinking, okay, how do I need to solve this? And then they get in and they pivot multiple times until they finally do it. And I think Mark and Lauren are amongst a lot of people that have actually gone through our program and seen that the way we teach entrepreneurship is really the way entrepreneurship should be taught. I've seen, like I mentioned earlier, I've been through business school, and it's the way business schools, the way traditional schools, universities teach entrepreneurship. It's like trying to teach your child to ride a bicycle using text messages. Like, it's not effective. So they give you like lots and lots of textbooks and reading and studying and researching, and then would spend weeks debating what entrepreneurship is, whether are you a startup, SME, entrepreneur, like are you SMB, are you SMME, like, and then marks are given for whatever, like people think a lot and talk a lot and just theorize a lot to get good marks. And then those of you just like, I want to get it done. You won't get good marks. So I always struggled with the way, even when I worked, like when they asked for my work, they'd say like, give us a proposal for how to do this. And I'd give my boss like 2 pages, like 2 pages? No, it can't be 2 pages. Like, why should it be 2 pages? Like, no. It looks like it's not serious. Like, just go and give us something longer, at least 10 pages, 15 pages. I struggled with that. During studies, like master's studies, all the time, the problem I had was, this is not enough. Like, you need to fill up. So they give me minimum word counts, whereas for other people, they need to give a maximum word count, like just waffling. And for me, I struggled with that, and I didn't find it effective. And unfortunately, there are a lot of other people that we worked with through Startup Circles who believe the same thing. We've had people like Steve Blank saying, look, get outside the building, talk to customers. You can't build something amazing just sitting in your office and theorizing on what people think and what they want, and then you spend lots of money and time, and then you launch and nobody buys, and you spend advertising money on it, then nobody buys again, then you spend even more, then 2 years down the line you quit. For us, it's quick. We've had students do validation in an afternoon. We say, like, I don't know, is my idea good? Like, cool, let's go out in the afternoon, go and talk to customers. And that is a reality. Like, half of them came back like, wow, I learned so much from talking to people, stuff that I wouldn't have learned just sitting here thinking on my own. And the other people, again, it was like, you know what? I don't think my idea will work. Nobody understands what I'm saying, which is good. Like, you get it out quickly. Imagine doing that within an afternoon. Then you've launched a company 6 months, 1 year later, and you realize that nobody understands what I'm doing. Nobody wants to pay me money. So big up to Lauren and Mark. Cool. I'm going to talk about types of businesses very quickly, and then I'll invite an investor, Lelemba Piri, who's here to join us. And she's going to talk about, I'll ask you a few questions, but I'll talk about types of businesses, and then we'll look at types of, maybe she could also tell us about the types of funding, I think. Cool. So, types of businesses. Which one are you building? Okay, and remember, you can type your questions in the chat box. Type your questions relating to what I've talked about. Type questions relating to your business and what you're trying to do. And think about your questions. The questions should be helping you get to the results you want. Remember, here we're not debating terminologies and just throwing ideas. Like, we do things. That's Startup Circus. We do things. Cool. Types of businesses. One would be self-employed. This could be you're a freelancer, a consultant, hobbies, hustles, side hustles, and you're just working on your own. This is self-employed. Then the second one would be small business. Small business could be a shop, it could be a bed and breakfast, small holding farm. That's a small business. These two do not attract investors, okay? Because they're not scalable. And whilst they might grow, but they don't scale. Scaling and growing, the difference is that growth means it can get bigger and bigger. Scaling is it can get bigger without using a proportionately high amount of resources. Okay, so for instance, if you're working as a consultant, if you can serve one customer in 2 days, then to serve two customers you need 4 days, just like that. Whereas a scalable business would be, I can serve one customer in 1 day, I can serve 10 customers in 1 day in the same way. That's scale. Yeah. Then the third type of business is a scalable startup. We talked about this earlier. This is small but highly replicable. It can grow by a factor of 100, 10x, 100x, 1000x. And those are the businesses that generate lots of value, but also create changes economies. They are the businesses that actually employ lots of people. Here's a question for everybody. Question, quiz time. Quiz. Pop quiz. How many employees does Amazon have globally? Type your answer in the chat box. It's cool to know. So why we do what we do, we believe that commercially viable businesses have got the power to change people's lives. How many employees does Amazon have globally? Okay, we'll get to the answers. Cool. Then the fourth type of business is the corporate business. These are mature, systematized, stable businesses. These ones don't grow by 100 or 1,000 multiples. Usually these ones don't grow by percentages, like 10%, 20%, and they're stable and they're reliable and they produce dividends a lot of times. And then the fifth type is a non-profit business. These are philanthropic, solving societal ills, not for profit. So when we're talking about we're trying to eradicate poverty, fight crime, fight this, like all those things, they're noble, they're wonderful, they're done for non-profit. But the non-profits, here again, we need to think about the people who are thinking non-profit mindset. I've been in that space as well. I started out because both my parents died when I was young. I was a teenager. I wanted to build an orphanage, and I was thinking, like, people don't take care of people like me. So when I get rich, I'll be taking care of people like me. And all the time I was thinking of, don't charge money. Money is evil. But because I want money, money is evil, but somehow I want money. And it's difficult to try to build a business when you don't have a healthy relationship with money. By the way, those of you who believe that money is evil, if money is evil, why do they want it at church? Right? Why does the papa want all the money if money is evil? Okay. Cool. All right. So this has got a purpose, and it's needed in life. Okay. So what's the answer? Amazon has got, let's see what some of the answers are. Okay, I can't see the answers. 500,000. That's VJ says 500,000. Let's see. Anybody else? What are the answers? How many employees does Amazon got? Amazon has got 1 million employees. 1 million. Think about that. Let that sink in. 1 million employees. Number of people that they employ. So cool. So why do you want to build an investable business? You want to build an investable business because you want to have a bigger impact and you want to do more in your life. And then the other thing is that investors are actually looking for you. Investors are looking for you. Okay. Let me just bring on board an investor. Hi, Lelemba.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So, by way of introduction, Lelemba is the partner at Enigma Ventures and Africa Trust Group at Enigma Ventures. So, she has worked in corporate, private sector, worked with a company called Zona. We helped the company grow to 4 countries, and Lelemba built pretty much with Enigma. Uh, so they launched the Shift Fund, investing in women entrepreneurs across SADC, and there was the Enigma Fund, which is a 100 million rand fund, and then also Shift, because we had to shift and pivot, and yeah, so she's done amazing work. Then, full disclosure, Lelemba is my primary investor number one. I live in her house. So we work together, but she is more on the Enigma on startup circles. Lelemba, tell us about, first of all, the question that people get asked, I get to ask a lot, like, is it true that investors really have a lot of money they want to invest in us, like, or is it just a game, like, just like making us run around?
So the answer is yes, investors do have money that they need to invest. And what everybody needs to understand is that for the most part, a lot of investors and funders have investors as well who've put money into these funds. And so they're excited about how do we quickly deploy this money? How do we make sure we get the returns that we need to get? And how do we ensure we find the right suited entrepreneurs to invest in? And so, yes, the money is there. Sometimes it feels like the dating scene when single friends are saying, how do I not ever meet any other single people? I'm only meeting people who are committed. It feels like it's a marketplace where people are not meeting each other, but investors are there. They've got money and they're looking to invest in businesses that are suiting their profiles. And so that's the qualification point. It has to suit their profiles. Yeah.
Okay. And what are the mistakes that entrepreneurs make when they're applying for funding?
I think that you've spoken about a lot of them, Sandras. Number one is not understanding the business type that you have and whether this is an investable type of business or not. I mean, if you are growing a lifestyle business, you are a freelancer and you're just looking, to grow your business at your own pace, investors might not be interested in this at all because they're looking for growth and they're looking for returns and they're looking for returns at really high rates. And so sometimes understanding the type of business that you're running becomes super, super critical. Number
Okay.
two is there are different types of funding that are suited to the different types of businesses. And so sometimes we're applying, say, for equity investment. We don't even know that it's equity investment because sometimes when we just hear funding, we're like, okay, we're going for this thing. But a critical question is like, are you willing, for example, to give up part of your shareholding for this funding? And some people are uncomfortable with that and they just say no. And so you need to match what you want and your type of business to the type of funding that's available. I think those are two of the biggest issues that we find with applications. Yeah.
Excellent. And what can entrepreneurs do in order to stand out?
Important things for entrepreneurs to think about is whether their product or service is actually answering the problem that they're saying they're trying to solve. A lot of times entrepreneurs are looking too wide and looking at a bigger problem than they're solving. They might say, I'm trying to solve unemployment, for example, but their service is just a CV writing service. In that case, you might say, we help people to write their CVs so that they can be better placed for employment. You're not solving unemployment. If there's 100 jobs in the market, there's only 100 jobs in the market. By helping people write CVs better, you're not creating any more jobs. You're just helping them to be a lot more effective. So make sure that you've got a solution that is fitting the problem that you're trying to solve as number one. Second, for me personally, is that there is a big market for what you're trying to solve. Sometimes the problem we're trying to solve is only impacting me and my 5 friends. And it's super, super important that you do a little bit of research. I think with the internet, there's really no excuse for why you can't do some research to find out if there's actually a market for what you're trying to solve. And so having some knowledge of how big your market size, how much of it you feel like you can get with your solution is important. It helps you stand out. Yeah.
Okay. And is there anything specifically that women entrepreneurs do that they would need to improve? And then I'll also ask the same question about men entrepreneurs do that
Cool.
they need to improve.
Okay. I think that one of the biggest things that I've discovered for women entrepreneurs is applying for funding when they're actually not willing to, have the accountability that it takes to have investors. When you get investors, there's reporting that will be required. There's a level of accountability that will be required. There's a level of growth that they are pursuing. And so it's important to know what type of investor am I going to and what type of growth are they looking for. For people who might be like, you've got a growth business, it's capable of growing, the more customers you get and stuff like that, you could get, for example, debt instead of equity, where the debt investor is actually not interested in how you get the growth as long as you're paying them back their money. Whereas for equity, it's a little bit different. They're involved, they are strategic partners, they want to chat with you about your plans and things like that. And sometimes a lot of women entrepreneurs are actually just not ready for that level of accountability or that level of reporting and that level of check-in. So that's one of the things that we've noticed. For male entrepreneurs, one of the things that I've noticed is that they don't check what type of investor they're applying to. They just apply to everybody. And you find that maybe a person is in clean energy and the investor is looking at food, for example, and they don't care to check whether that is suited to them. They just apply. A lot of times I've put out calls and I've made it very specific that we're investing only in SADC and Sub-Saharan Africa, and we still find like a lot of male entrepreneurs from all over the place still applying. And so important to just check out where you are applying, whether the investor is a match for who you are and what you're doing as well. Yeah.
And what words of encouragement would you have for people here and people who are thinking about startup circles? Should I not? What would you say to them?
Number one word of encouragement is stay in the game. Honestly, if you're an entrepreneur at heart and you believe that this is where you need to be, you need to push through and stay in the game and try and quickly discover what it is that your customers want so that you can get a product market fit, number one. For joining startup circles and why you should join startup circles is that it shortcuts this process. Entrepreneurship is hard. It's so hard. I was an entrepreneur myself for 7 years. I'm still an entrepreneur at heart. I know what it feels like to keep trying to just discover what is it that the market wants. How can I make my customers happy? How quickly can I validate whether this is a winning business or opportunity or not? It's all of these questions. And the programs in startup circles, because one, they are run by entrepreneurs who have walked the path that you're trying to walk on. These are people who've actually raised funding. And anything from $25,000 to $100 million to investors who are ready to sign some checks. But what you need is that shortcutting process so that you can save yourself time, you can save yourself money, you can save yourself headaches. It's like, how do I discover, for example, how quickly can I discover what my customers want? How can I create the right traction that will attract investors so that my case is standing out? Because look, we as investors, we're looking at literally 200 pitches a day. And so there has to be something in your business that is standing out. And programs such as the launch program in startup circles, particularly if you're in that place where like, I've got an idea and it's looking great and I really feel that this is investable, they help you shortcut the process. I don't think there's any better example than Mark and Lauren's story around them coming with just really an idea and quickly moving through ideation to validation to pitching in 2 months. So this is possible. You don't have to take a year. You don't have to sink 200,000 rands. Entrepreneurs are known to create great value, but they can also really destroy value. And so in managing how much time you are spending in this process, getting the right support and guidance is critical. And it's really chalk and cheese between entrepreneurs who have been on programs like Startup Circles programs and those who haven't. And so I would really encourage you to, take that step.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Limba. Thank you for joining us. And anybody else, if you still got questions for Limba, you can type them in the chat box, and then we can pass them on, and then I can actually share them. We'll post the answers later on. But thank you very much, Lele. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Great. Thank you. So that was Lemba Piri from Enigma Ventures. So Enigma is investing. They're still investing. And these are some of the things that you can do in order to fast track your process. Okay. So why should you look for investment? Because investors are looking for you. Like Lemba has mentioned, investors are looking. Then we also receive emails like this all the time. This is an email from a managing partner at a VC who said, "Hey, Sanders, congrats to hear that. Good to hear that you're venturing into startup education acceleration." And then says, "Not sure if you're referring to another." I mentioned his name in your email. That let us know if anything interesting comes across your desk. We would love to be able to invest in them. We are currently looking for freight, logistics, and healthcare startups in Africa at seed and Series A stage, and would prefer startups serving Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Egypt, Ethiopia. And we're looking to write checks of between $250,000 and $2 million. So what are the keywords there? Keywords are they're looking for very specific markets, very specific markets, and then also very specific industries, logistics, healthcare. Then they're willing to write checks of specific amounts, 250,000 to $2.5 million. But with that, up to 2 million, with that, it's very clear what they're looking for. Like Lemba was saying, different investors invest in different things in different regions, and so we, as Startup Circles, we bring investors from all around the world because they are investors from all around the world looking for investor-ready companies. So the thing here is that there isn't a lack of investors. There is a lack of investable businesses. And that's the problem we're trying to solve. So if you're willing to just switch that for you, switch that for yourself, we encourage you to stay. Come back tomorrow. We'll tackle some more things around what it takes to build an investable business. So come back tomorrow. But again, entrepreneurship is hard. It's not for everybody. And it's optional. Okay? The easier thing is just to get a job. By month end, there's money coming. Ka-ching! You get paid. Entrepreneurship is rough. Get rough. So you need to commit. So you can't do it part time. Like you're burning a lot of money, burning a lot of time, losing your money, losing your family's time, and losing your future money by just doing things that are not making money. So if you have activities that keep you busy, they cost money and don't make money, those activities aside, unfortunately, they are called hobbies. So a lot of people have got hobbies, calling them businesses. It only is a business when it starts making money. And when you're not making money, it's difficult to impress anybody. You can't impress your spouse, your partner. You can't impress your kids. You can't impress your parents. You can't impress the investors. It's very difficult. So we'll talk about what are the things you can do to impress investors. And pretty much when you impress investors, you impress pretty much everybody around you. So that's why we use the analogy or the goal of that attracts investors, because investors look at your business in a commercially viable way. So even when you're not trying to raise investment, going through the Startup Circles program helps you to think about your business commercially. And for the longest time, also, there was a point where I'm feeling like, oh, I'm doing these activities, they're businesses. But when I looked like, how much did this business make for me? I found like it didn't. Actually, I was funding it from my job, and I was also funding it from my other business, and realizing like, this sounds cool because everybody says, oh, you're an entrepreneur. Wow. And the worst for everybody is when somebody says, wow, you're doing so many things. It just sounds nice. For a lot of people, it doesn't make money. It means you are getting money from other places and burning it in other things. So we will help you focus on that. Then another email we got is, hi Sandras, how are you doing? How's your Startup Circles initiative going? We currently have some funds to deploy. Listen to that, funds to deploy. And we're wondering if you've come across any post-revenue tech businesses that would be of interest to us. We would appreciate any introductions. And this is another partner to VC saying would appreciate any introductions. And with that, then when you look at it, it's like, what do they really want? They want post-revenue, meaning that you are making money. Nothing attracts money like money. So a lot of times people are saying, look, but I need money to make money. We'll teach you in the coming sessions. Or those of you who are saying, look, I don't have revenue. I don't know how I can make things happen. I don't know because I need some money for them to see that I can make money. Like, I'm stuck. We will answer those questions. Right. And then before I get to the questions, I will talk about the different funding sources. Okay, are you ready for that? This will be quick, and because at this point you just need to know about it. We are not at this, a lot of you are not at this level yet, so we'll go through this very quickly. When you're setting up, you use the money from personal sources and networks. So this is savings, overdrafts, employment, family, friends, and just putting in your time and getting nothing out of it, just time to show that, look, I got something going. So a lot of people would be in this stage, and then when you're starting up, you now get to angels, banks, accelerators, corporates, seed and angel investors, loans, proof of concepts, like all of that come into the second bit. And then when you're scaling up, that's when now you go to VCs, venture capital and corporate. And still, angels play a role here. But for the most part, it's angel, VC, and managed companies. Yeah, then on the growth, in the growth phase, which is now like you got product market phase, you're running, you're making money, you scaled, you're now going to more VC and private equity. Yeah. Then at maturity, now we're looking mergers and acquisitions and buyouts and initial public offerings, and there you go to the stock market. So in the first point, how you get your money, your source of funding will be, in addition to what I've talked about, you also get them from grants. You can get them from, in all of them, you get money from sales. Number one source of income is customers. Okay. And then the estimated range, this is in Kwacha, which is like almost like Rand, was almost like the Rand. These we will share these in dollars because we have people from about, right now in the call, about people from about 30 countries, and so we will share this in dollars. But in Kwacha, it's like about 250K, about 250,000 Rand, which is about $10,000. Then it goes to about, say, $20,000 now from angels. And the people who go through Startup Circles launch, those who are successful, they raise minimum of $25,000. And then it goes all the way up. Okay, seed, series A, B, and C. And these, don't worry about this for now. They get technical, but for now, don't worry too much. A lot of you who will be getting into the launch program will be setting up, starting up. Nobody here is in the scaling up phase. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to look at what exactly are investors looking for. Okay, so like the 9 areas that investors look at, what impresses investors, what to do if you don't have revenue, where to find the investors, what to do to fast track your journey, what is the quick way in which you can assess yourself to see how you are doing, saying like, how am I doing in my business? Where am I in my investment journey? What do I need to do? Okay, that's what we're going to cover tomorrow. So come back tomorrow, and then I ask you, think about one person that you've believed like, wow, you know what? If you believe like, wow, what I learned today was amazing, I think this one other person could benefit from it. Share with them the link to this masterclass. Share with them. My team will share it in the different chats. Like, just invite them. Like, hey, you missed out yesterday, and we'll put this video back up as a recorded video, and then they can watch it. You can come back and watch it again, and then tomorrow we'll have day 2 of our session where we really go into saying what can I do? What do investors want? And then it will also help you if you applied to Shift or to Enigma Ventures and wondering like, oh, why didn't I make it? Tomorrow's session is a must. But once again, this is not for everybody. It's just really you need to commit, and nothing changes if nothing changes. My lecturer, like somebody who taught me, he was, now I understand him better now, because at the time he gave us these textbooks when it was a course on the MBA called Planning New Ventures. He gave us textbooks, and then we said, how come we never open those textbooks? He says, those textbooks are bullshit, like, don't open them. And like, really? Like, yeah, no, the fact the university requires me to prescribe them, so just forget. What you need to do is so that's what he did. But something which he said, which was really cool, was that there is no such thing as a high growth part-time business. There is no such thing as a high growth part-time business. And that was the shift for me. Like, wow, I've been running my business part-time, but I'm hoping that it will change and it will grow. And at that moment, I went back home and told my wife, like, I'm quitting my job to run this full-time. And it's 9 years later now, and things have changed, right? At that time, like when you go out to friends, you look at my bank balance all the time before the bill comes, and like, okay, will I afford my share of this meal? And all the time, like, those stress moments, but things change when you make a commitment saying, I want to know this. Like Mark and Lauren did that, saying, I want to know this, I want to master this. Like, there's something I'm not doing right in the way I've been running things. And so encourage you to come back tomorrow. So if you're coming back tomorrow, type 1 in the chat box, and then I will go to the questions that we've got today. So Offense asks a question, says, I'd like to ask, when is the best time to look for capital? Can I approach investors even though I only have a prototype without any traction? How do I value my startup so that I can offer ridiculous equity to investors? So there are a number of questions there. The first question is, when is the best time to look for capital? So best time to look for capital is really now that you know, like, you think about what do you want to build and how big do you want it to be? And then you can start looking for capital. So when you're starting out is the best time, right? So as entrepreneurs, we thought, like, use OPM, other people's money, okay? Use other people's money, and then as much as possible. So use investors' money, use customers' money, use any of that to build. But you can use your money. But then when you learn to show value to other people, they can come in to support you on the vision. But also you need to know that you have to share the vision, but also share the returns. So start early, start now. Can I approach investors even though I only have a prototype without any traction? Yes, you can, but investors, you need to show some traction. We'll talk about traction in the next sessions. Like, there is traction that matters. So traction in this case, like without any revenue, you can. So you can show them, like, what's the traction that will impress them. You show them that, okay? If you just have a prototype, you haven't got any revenues, you don't have anybody signing a letter of intent, you don't have anybody on a wait list, you don't have anything. No, investors are not impressed. And then how do I value my startup? Investors will help you to value it. So in most part, you are valued on the revenue you are generating. Okay. Cool. Ida from Ethiopia saying, I have learned that there must be steps for you to go, for you to do steps you have to go through in business before bringing your business to investors. Is that true? Because it takes forever to get in that place. So the steps are the steps that we're talking about in this session. We are helping you think about the steps you need to take, and we'll talk about the 9 areas that investors will look at. So Mark and Lauren, they did that in 3 months. So it doesn't take forever. If you know what you're focusing on, like Mark said, like I said, no, don't focus on that. Don't focus on that. That is wasting time. Don't do that. For instance, at Startup Circles, we don't ask you for business plans. We know that business plans are meaningless at this stage. Okay? People are asking you for business plans. A lot of them are not investors. They work. They are corporate people who have been assigned to an accelerator, and that's the question that they know how to ask. Like, where's your business plan? And then you produce this massive business plan and that you're paying somebody to write for you, and nobody reads because you got all the numbers there, the projections or projections there are imaginary numbers. So investors at this stage, you see that none of the investors or startup circles will ask you for a business plan. None. We have investors from all around the world. They don't ask you for a business plan, but they'll look at your pitch deck. So we'll also show you how to write, to put together a 10-slide pitch deck, and you can show that and show your value and show that very quickly and know the areas where you're not doing well, and you can get there very quickly. Then there is another question from Keegan. Keegan wrote a very long question, but Keegan has a business in AI. So the question is, which finance revenue model exists specifically for reward or incentive-based startups running on technology like AI, ledger tech, and 4IR? So the investments that's available is, there are different types, right? It could be equity, it could be convertible note, all of those different types. But for the most part, it would be, saying what's a finance revenue model? Okay, I thought, which finance or revenue model exists specifically for this type of business? So the finance revenue models in this type of business, it depends on the problem you're solving. Okay, depends on the problem you're solving, Keegan. A lot of times, the mistake that entrepreneurs make is to get attached with the technology. So you should know that nobody is going to pay you for 4IR. Nobody is going to pay you for AI. People are paying you for a solution. For instance, when I was buying my car, the salesman didn't say, hey, do you know that your car's got AI? You know, like, so the cars have got AI, phones have got AI, right? So that park assist, that's AI. You know, like all of these things, all the different type of detectors, the AI. You know, my Google Maps, that's AI. But he was not saying buy the phone for AI. It's really like, you can use your map, your GPS. So forget the big words, the technology, their means to an end. Again, when I'm buying the car, I'm not buying an internal combustion systems. You know, I'm not buying, like a diesel operated engines. No, I'm not interested in that. Like what I want is like a car that takes me point A to point B and feels a certain way and looks a certain way. That's what I want. So 4IR is like saying diesel or it's electricity. AI is like electricity. Now I don't say, hey, I've got an electric radio. It's a given. I've got a radio. I've got a phone. So what problem are you solving? So based on the problem you're solving, you are going to have a revenue model. People will pay you for that, not for AI. Okay, and for same with everybody else says, I've got a blockchain-based AI tech solution that prepares companies for the 4th industrial revolution. Bring it down to, what are you doing? Why would people pay you? Okay, Then, question from VJ. VJ says, when should you start fundraising? And that's a similar question to Offense. So VJ, you can start fundraising at any point. You can start early. And how much to ask? What is the right amount to ask for? So when you have just an idea, rule of thumb, you can think about like less than, it's about $10,000. $10,000. Some people actually, it's like 15,000 rand, or say $1,000, and it could move from 1,000 to 10,000 when you just have an idea. Because there you want to do customer interviews, asking questions and validating that idea. Like, does it work? Okay. And then as you go, you start learning what the different investors want. And then there's a process for doing this. You can start with now, like getting into a program that teaches you what investors want and how much investors want to see based on your level. So you can ask for $25,000, you can ask for $250,000, you can ask for $1 million, but also based on revenues. And when you're asking, and how much to ask for is, I need this amount of money that helps me hit this revenue target, for instance. Saying this revenue target needs this amount of money, and that's how to determine. And you graduated based on your existing revenue. If you haven't got any revenue, it's difficult to say, give me $1 million, then I start generating revenue. If you got no revenues, you can say, give me 10,000, I generate. But again, if you're making like a 100,000, you can say, give me $1 million, then I'll make 5 or 10. Okay. And when you ask for too much, yes, it can be devastating, because, for instance, we have a filter. When people ask for too much, they just get kicked out immediately. It almost shows like they don't know what they're talking about. But if you ask for too little, it's not really a train smash, because investors know that you can't do anything with that amount of money. So they'll say, you're asking for 25, I think you need 50. And then you have a conversation. So they can give you more when you ask for less. Okay. Cool. Vijay's got another question. Says, what about mature entrepreneurs who've been through it and are simply looking for investment directly? So we have mature businesses that are looking for investment directly that have gone through ignition. So ignition is 3 months. You only learn what you need to learn to raise investment. So we have people like Michelle from Feel Good Health. She's got a company that's been running for 15 years, and she's been through ignition. Now she's raising about, I don't have the exact figure, but something above like $1 million, because now she knows the language, she knows how to raise. So that's what we do. That if you're existing, it's just like learning a language. Say, look, I've been playing soccer or playing this game for a very long time. What do you have for me to just perfect this? And so you can get into the program and just learn those things, where, because we're getting multiple investors that are looking at different types of businesses, and they'll ask different things. And in all of this, when investors know you, then they can refer you to other people that invest in those type of business, in your type of business. Cool. Temonani is saying, how much does it cost to join the Startup Circles program? We've got a number of programs, but the Startup Circles program would make you there. We'll introduce that to you on Wednesday, Temonani. So just stay with us until Wednesday. We'll introduce the program and everything that you get into it, and you can get in on Wednesday. Right. Then Tawia says, what sort of annual returns do investors seek, percentage or otherwise? Give a practical example if you can. So it's Tawia, it's not like annual returns. They look for returns at a particular point. So it could be like, you're not giving them any annual returns, because if they put in equity, they want the business to grow. Maybe they want it to grow 5 times or 10 times, meaning if they put in money, you should be able to get out like 5 times the money or 10 times the money, and you also get something similar. So it's just really not, I mean, like the business grows to be 10 times that size, for instance, and everybody gets money according to their shares. So so that now depends on the region. In certain regions, they don't ask for. In some regions they ask for 10x, like 10 times this size, and this is like they're looking at your EBITDA. So EBITDA value determines the value of your company for the most part, and then your market potential and how much you've grown in that period of time. And we will talk about this in the next 2 days. That EBITDA number that shows how much value your business has got and what you can do to help that. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. And please type out your key takeaway from today's session. Type in the chat box. Type out like, what have you learned? What's your key takeaway from today's session? Cool. It's really, really good having all of you join us today. So awesome. We're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Read out what has been like your key takeaways from today. Cool. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for coming through. Mamkele, Bosman, Tumelo, Sekopoto, Jason Kruger from Lusaka, Lufuno, Temanani. Awesome. Lots of people. Daniel Ude, Jacques Fury, Marco Boys, Petam Chunu, Vanganji, Irene, Tisetso, Demonani. Excellent. Kate, Funky No. Great. It's good to see all of you here today. Excellent. Vijay, thanks for joining. Tawia, thanks for I hope I pronounced your name right. And Brian, Halidu, Diallo, good to see you. Good to see everybody that's come through today. Excellent. We're looking forward. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Bye-bye. Enjoy your evening. See you tomorrow. Share these with other people that you believe would benefit from it. Just share with them the link to tomorrow's session. See you. Cheers.